it's Gray, and this is what I talk about when I talk about knitting. A knitting podcast where I talk about stuff that I have made in the past 2 weeks, stuff that I'm making, and stuff that I'm about to make. I did change the name of the podcast for the third episode. This is like the third episode. And I changed the name of the podcast. It used to be Gray Knits. Now it's called What I Talk About When I Talk About Knitting. This is a reference to a memoir by Haruki Murakami called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. And the title of that is actually a reference to a collection of short stories by Raymond Carver called What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. I thought, it's like Gray Knits is kind of a boring name for a knitting podcast. I thought, when I was reading What I Talk About When I Talk About Knitting, there's no like grand unified theory about running that Haruki Murakami proposes. It's more of a memoir, an exploration of what it does for him and how it has changed how he approaches aspects of his life and how it has shaped his life and how it is just a fundamental part of his living, like running. And he talks about discipline and all that crap. And I was having a kind of a bum week this past week. And I just thought, what am I doing things for? And if I were to define myself through my fundamentals, what are my fundamentals? And I realized, funnily enough, that I think knitting is one of those fundamentals. I don't know. All this to say, I did love the book, and I think it's a fun thing. Because, it's not like really a philosophy book. It's just, he's just talking about running. And I suppose that's what I want to do with this podcast. I don't know, maybe there's a deeper meaning, maybe there's a deeper philosophy and a deeper effect to my personhood that knitting does. But as it is, it's something I love to do, and it's something that has improved my life, and I do think it contributes to my discipline and blah blah blah. I don't know. There doesn't need to be a whole reason and explanation for why I'm changing the name to What I Talk About When I Talk About Knitting. I just think it's fun, and I do love a couple of Raymond Carver poems, so I think it's a nice homage to him also, if that's something that can be connected. Well, anyway, first I talk about what I'm wearing. Well, it's too hot. It's too hot to wear anything. I thought maybe this podcast episode, the cool winds would come. They still haven't come. Only the super typhoons have. So, I don't really have... It's too hot. It's too hot to wear anything. I did bring my folklore cardigan that I made I think a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I made this one. I love it very much, etc., etc. But I want to talk about it when I'm wearing it, I guess. Hopefully, next podcast episode, I think, will be sometime in late November or December. And it will be cool enough to do literally anything. Yeah, anyway, so I'll talk about this then, because I really do love it and have much to say about it. But as for now, all that I'm wearing is this shirt from one of my favorite bands. It says, Aking alay, ang sarili, aking tunay na pag-ibig. In English, that's my sacrifice, I guess. Myself, my true love. Isn't that so fun? This is a shirt from Ang Bandang Shirley. It's from one of their songs called Iyong. Anyway, none of that shit matters. I haven't even started talking about my knitting. But, okay, let's start. I have 3 finished items this week. I'll start with the one that I don't have because it was a gift knit that I already gave. I made a teddy bear for one of my friend's kid, and I think it's super cute. I'll put the picture up here. I took a picture before I gave it. It's the same teddy bear that I have made in the past. I've made this pattern before. It's called the Otso bear pattern. It's very unravelly. I think it's a very nice little thing. I do have some things to say. I don't remember how I did the last one. The pattern calls for 4.5 millimeter needles. I think maybe last time I used 4 because it does look different. I used the same yarn in a different color, but in the past when I made it, it was a brown yarn. And so, darker colors do tend to hide mistakes or whatever, like just uneven tension better than what I use now, which is a cream yarn. But this is the same yarn, like the same yarn brand. I bought them together. But they look so different, and I'm not really sure. I do think it is because I use 4.5 needles. Yeah, but I did enjoy making this. I think I talked about having started it a couple episodes ago, but I did finally end up finishing it. And I was initially planning to give it to my baby sister, but then I thought, she already has a teddy bear. And I do have enough leftover yarn to make something else. Maybe not the same thing, because I don't have as much as is required left. But maybe like a dual colored teddy bear or a dual colored plushie, because I still do have the brown and the cream. Yeah. I enjoyed making it, although I think when I was done with it, I thought it looked not good. And so I was unsure whether I wanted to give it or not. But then I slept on it and then I woke up and I was like, no, it is cute. I think I may have overstuffed it or something. Like something is up with it and I don't know what. So either I overstuffed it, I used the recommended needles, but I should have used smaller because of my yarn gauge. Yeah, I do think it was a very fun thing to make. I always forget how fast. I think that one is like Aran or worsted weight. I always forget how fast that knits up, and then 4.5s too. Like it's quick, and I always forget that you can make things fast. They don't have to be tiny for you to make them. Although the bear is a little bit tiny, but anyway, I give it as a gift. And it was very well received. My friend really liked it. And when she handed it to her son seemed to also really like it. The kid is like a baby. So it's not like he's like, I love it. He just, played with it. And she sent me some photos. It's the cutest, most adorable thing. And, I don't know if my friend watches this. I hope not, because I don't want her to know this. But, I am also planning to give that baby clothing, like maybe a fun little baby cardigan for his baptism. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Honestly, I'm very excited to get this kid. I just think it's so cute. Like when babies wear old man sweaters, old people cardigan, it's the cutest thing. And I am very glad to have a baby. Just to make things for. I think babies are super cute, and I think there is a different sense of accomplishment when it's a kid that you're making things for. For a first one, baby clothes, I'm assuming they're going to knit up very quickly because they're smaller and tinier, and they're so small and tiny and so cute. I've been looking at a lot of patterns for babies. Yeah, very fun. If any of you have any recommendations for knitting patterns for babies, I don't have experience in that. So like I want to accept recommendations. And also like there are many free patterns, but there's also many paid patterns. And I'm not sure if the paid patterns would be worth it. Although I assume if more friends of mine have babies in the future, I can just reuse them. Which is, the wonder about patterns. Well, that's my first project. This is made with 100% wool. I did worry a little bit because the wool is like a little bit like rustic. I don't know why I did this, but like, like sometimes like I would take a little piece of wool and I'd like rub it on my face like this to feel if like it makes me feel sensitive. That one, it's not really like it's fine, and also it's not a wearable, it's a plushie. But I did also feel a little bit like, oh, I'm afraid that like it's a little baby, like the little baby's gonna be allergic to wool or something. I suppose in the future I should just stick to giving cotton gifts to children, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, fun then, and I hope that in the next months or year, like I can show more baby oriented knits in this podcast. Anyway, next one. I finished the socks that I showed last episode. So I have two, last episode I only had one in the podcast. Now I have two. Here they are. And I did the thing that I was talking about where I matched the stripes, but I didn't match the heel. And I do think it makes for a really cute look. And something also happened with the yarn at the end where I just had to cut it, and so the tips are like a different color. Not awful. Like it doesn't really make it unmatched or anything. It just, yeah. And I haven't blocked this one yet. And so it does still look like a bit frumpy in the heel part, like over there. Oh, I'm hitting my mic. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's still unblocked. So I suppose I don't like blocking individually. So I'll mass block them or something with other knits in the future. But I love this. I love this project because, well, the self-striping is really wonderful. Although, I did redo this sock, because this is the second sock. So after I finished it, I realized that the length here is longer than the length here. And I was like, wait, what's wrong? And I checked the number of my stitches, I checked everything, and basically what it is my gauge just became looser. So the second sock is a little bit bigger than the other sock. And it is like a little weird thing, but it's just a little bit longer. Before I redid, I backed up until I think here, just after I do my increases or my decreases in the heel, in the gusset, I went down back to here and then redid this part so that it can be of equal length, which is good because I also did worry a lot about the first sock being too small. So now I suppose it's big enough. It still looks a little bit smaller, but not that much that it's aggravating. I am really, really glad to be done with these socks. I have one more gift knit that I'm working on. I'll show later. And then I'm done. So I went downstairs to get a package. Okay, well, I do think I made some mistakes with the second sock. If you look at the ribbing, this is where, I don't know, I dropped a stitch in the cast on. Then I did a bad job with it. So now it looked like that. And this one is where the cast on edge is. And like it looks awful because I didn't do a good job weaving it in, I think. And it does look, I am a little bit disappointed with it. But also I think, you know how like last time I was like, I think I'm really awful at weaving in stitches. I think I was awful because I was doing it wrong. And now I know how to actually do it, which is a fun, amazing, and adventurous thing. Yay! Well, that's it for this socks. It has been, so many podcast episodes that I've done thus far, and now they're gone, and I'm going to be sending them to my friend, I think this December. I'm very excited. I hope they like it. Yay! So, my last finished project is actually Crocheted. If you know, last episode mostly, I talked about a crocheted vest that I have been working on since December 2022, and by that I mean that like I worked on it for a month in 2022 and then never touched it again, and then decided that I need to finish this shit. I just can't have this lying around in my whip basket. What am I? A person who leaves projects untouched for 2 years? I am, but now it's done. And by done, I mean I'm not touching it anymore. Which is how I feel about many of my crochet projects. Like, they're done when I say they're done. And I say this is done. So ta-da! It's a vest. And like, last episode I talked about, well, the episode before that I talked about doing a ribbing for the sleeve edge. And then it looked bad. And then I talked about doing like a sleeve cap situation. But I also hated it. So now I just did a single stitch and then a slip stitch on it, and just did that. Now, I have not washed this yet. I have not weaved in the ends. Honestly, I'm like not planning to. I have, like with crochet stuff, I think it is less important to weave in ends than in knitting, because knitting, if it falls out, like it's harder to fix versus crocheting. And I also think that like I do have other stuff that like when I wear them, I've not weaved them in like at all, and so I just like when I wear them I tuck in the ends of the yarn and stuff. I think I'll just do that with this one because like it's a multicolored granny square cardigan. Like, it has so much stuff it has so many ends to weave. Like, look at all, you want me to do all that? I mean, probably, yeah, but like, I don't wanna. Okay, I'll do a wear test. It's basically going to wear exactly like how it wore last time, but I just want to do it again. I think I'm wearing my Mickey Mouse pajamas. It is pretty cute. I find that, like, it is pretty cute. And I think it's, like, cute when I'm wearing those, like, light wash jeans. And then I tuck them in or something. Or maybe, like, black pants. Like, I think it looks very nice. And it also looks nice when I'm not wearing the shirt underneath. Like, it's a good top for, like, just having a top. Yeah. I'm so glad this is done. It's been so long. Just like One Direction said. Yeah. It's done. Does it look good? Excellent question. I think life is what you make it, and your crocheted garments are what you make them also. And this one, I've made it not that great, but I mean, it's wearable, and like, I think it looks fun. I'm so glad this is done. If next episode is still too hot to wear a cardigan, I'll wear this for the episode. Let's hope that it's not too hot next episode. It's like an actual fucking nightmare. The weather this year. It's horrible. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it for this one. And that's it for my finished projects. Next, I will show you some of my whips. For whips, I have two that I'm going to show you. So the first one is the yarn. Well, first one. Okay, I'll start with the one with the yarn that I've had for a while. So I have been working on the Sadie sweater. Oh no! The Sadie sweater by Ozetta. And the some of the stitches fell off the needle. Let me fix it. Okay, well, while I'm fixing this, I'm going to talk about this project. So this is what I have so far. This is just the short row neck portion, so it's like that, right? And then this is the shoulders portion, and this is the neck, but like for the back. So that's what we have right now. This is worked on 4mm needles, DK yarn. I'm using fine cotton yarn from Baguio, which is, I don't think I ever really showed what I mean by that, because like it's not a yarn that is present in other countries. This is like the cheapest yarn that you can get in the Philippines. This ball is like 200 grams of cotton, pure cotton, 100%. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice. It was, I think, literally like 70 pesos, which is like $1.50. Maybe that's the 100 grams. But, you know, like, I think the 100 grams is actually 40 pesos, which is $0.8. So what I mean is this is cheap yarn. It's cheap. Like, it costs so little in comparison to like literally anything else. It's so cheap. And it's from like the northern part of the country. And this is what the yarn looks like. So when you get it, it's what they call the 8-ply, because it's like 8 plies of really thin yarn. Like really thin threads. So like I'm doing a bad job at this. Okay. Like shout out to people who are awful at showing yarn. Well, like that. It's like 8 threads of that, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to. Well, yeah. So it's 8 threads of that. And when you get it, it's like not plied at all. It's just like that. Like it's not twisted in any way. No, sorry, it's not twisted in any way. And it's like this thin. This is basically like fingering weight. Maybe a little bit smaller than fingering, like a light fingering or something. But what I do, like you can request in the shops that they do a double pull, which is basically they wind it to a cake where it's double that. So it's basically a DK at this point, or maybe like a sport weight. I'm pretty sure this is a DK because when I hold it against my other cotton yarn that I can certify are DK yarns, it's this one, it's this much. But anyway, what I do is I just order the 8-ply, and then because I have a cake winder, I just wind it double myself. But yeah, this is fine cotton yarn from Baguio. Maybe like the 8-ply is fine because it does say it's fine cotton, but I don't think so because I have other fingering weight and DK weight and I know what they feel like. So yeah, so it's very obvious from what I'm showing you that this is a very split yarn. It is quite difficult to work with, but when I buy it, it means I can make so much for so little money. Like so little money in terms of buying the yarn. And when you have access to yarn that is this cheap and has a quality like this, because this is not, like, when it's done, it's not bad. It's actually very good. I've used other like soft cotton yarns and stuff, none of them are like stay as vibrant as this after like years. And none of them are this soft. Like even my soft cotton yarn actually tend to be very, because they're like heavier. Because this one, it's not twisted. There's like no roughness at all. And so for finished garment, it's excellent. For working with it, it's not that good. But I'm willing because of the finished product and how much you pay. Like imagine like I bought, I think 600 grams of, no, 800 grams of this. Because I was going to make, 800 grams. I want 800 grams of this. I spent like literally 280 pesos. Like 300 pesos. That's nothing. And I mean, like when you have that price point in your mind, you can kind of maybe understand why I am just disillusioned by expensive yarn. Like I'm like, I don't need expensive yarn. And also because like even like this is cheap. Like the soft cotton yarn that is like more heavily, more not like it's twisted, so it's not like it doesn't split as much. Even that is also so cheap. So yeah, I do worry a little bit about like why it's so cheap. The soft cotton yarn, it's also why I don't buy it. It's like China. It's from China. And I feel bad with the transportation. And also like, you should support local. This yarn is a freebie yarn that I got from hand-dyed yarn that I bought from Indonesia. It's DK. And it's cotton. And it's twisted quite well. As in, like, when I twist it back and forth, the threads don't split. Like, they don't untwist, which means, like, it's twisted pretty good. And this is, like, soft cotton yarn. It's pretty good. It really is. The difference in texture is matte. Like, this is already soft, is what I'm saying. And it is still nothing in comparison to how soft this is. Just because of how it is. Like, there's no twist. So, obviously. And, like, it's cotton. So, it's not like it is debilitating to its structure. Like, it's not like wool. So, yeah. I don't know. I think if you are a Filipino knitter, you already know about this. I recommend that you use needles that are not as sharp in its like this part of the needle. Like it shouldn't be super sharp because it will be harder to not split your stitches. That's my only recommendation. That's an recommendation you could make for yourself. If you're a foreigner, if you come here, you go to Baguio, you buy the yarn. Like, I do think it's worth buying. It's not going to be devastating on your bank account just because it's so cheap. And like if you're earning American dollars, like even more so. But like what I'm saying is that like it's like maybe you won't like it, but like it's worth giving it's so cheap. I cannot emphasize enough how cheap this yarn is. Anyway, so yeah. All that to say, this is the beginning of the Ozetta sweater, and some of my stitches did fall out of my knitting. Let me put that back. I'm like actually horrible with regards to not living my, like when I'm doing a straight, like a flat knit, anything, I am so awful at not leaving my knitting in the middle of a row, which is like definitely bad for if you want to keep your stitches in your needles. But alas, I shall never learn. And this is why I am a big proponent of knitting in the round. I love to do it. And the Ozetta sweater, starts as flat knitting and then transitions to knitting in the round, which I am excited for, I must say. This is where I literally left it this much. Like, the direction is this way. What's wrong with me? Always finish your row. And, like, this is not even that much. Like, why am I not finishing it? What's wrong with me? Anyway, this is my progress for the Ozetta sweater. I don't know how fast I'll be able to make this. I think last episode I said that I want to make a red shirt for Christmas. I don't think I'm going to finish this, and I don't want to start another big project when I'm not done with this yet. So I suppose this would be my Christmas knit. This would be my Christmas wear. My Christmas jumpa, as people say. Very fun, very excited, etc. Next one, I have another whip. So this one is... First, I want to say that I bought those like flyers that I was talking about. Whatever, I'll talk about the knitting first. So this is just the cuff. So nothing much yet. The cuff of the Thorsminde socks by Søgaard, published in Filcolana. So this yarn is Alice Artisan yarn. I think, yeah, it's called Alice Artisan. It's fingering weight, 75% wool, 25% nylon. The sock yarn that I used for the striped socks are also Alice yarn, but those ones are comfort socks, and like intentionally made for sock knitting. This one, I suppose, is too, but like not really. Like, it does feel different. Like, it feels much more softer and like cushier and stuff versus those ones that are like harder. Not harder, I guess, like rougher. And I am a little bit afraid that this will wear through quickly, but you know, it is in fact still like 25% nylon, so maybe not. A couple comments. I mean, I haven't started this pattern. I'll show it here. It's a cable knit. Not a cable, it's like a fake cable. It's a faux cable, that's what people say. It's a faux cable pattern. I'm like excited to do that. I obviously have not done that because all of my socks so far have been very vanilla socks. But I am excited and I do want to start on it very soon. This yarn is it's fine. This needles, I mean, they're fine. I much prefer the double pointeds. I much prefer them. But there's like, it's actually very difficult to find double pointeds for some reason that are like sock length. I actually bought double pointeds alongside this, and they are this long. They are this long, which is like obviously a nightmare for sock knitting. And also the where I bought, these are 2.5s. The pattern calls for 2.5 needles. My laminated birch Knit Pro Ginger needles are 2.25s. I did consider, so this is the 2.25s and then this is the 2.5s. I did consider buying Knit Pro Gingers in 2.5s, or just like another pair of Knit Pro Gingers. Well, it's too expensive, but at some point I was like, you know what, let's bite the bullet. But then I went online and the shop is like gone. This time the shop really is gone. It's not just the yarn, the shop is gone. So yeah, unfortunate. I suppose I shall stick with these. And like, you know, you just have to get used to it. As with a lot of things in knitting, you just have to get used to it. And so I'm getting used to it, I think slowly but surely. The first few rounds, nightmarish. But now, I think it's going, and it's going rather well. I do find that for this one, I can't do continental. And like, I mean, that's usually what happens when I'm new to something. I just can't do it in continental. I have to English style it. This one, I think it's a combination of the needles and also the yarn feels so slippery. That's what I was talking about. Like, it's not rough like the Comfort Socks yarn. This artisan yarn is what they call it. It's like soft. Like when I have it like this, it like really slips through my fingers, which I don't like, and that's why I've transferred to doing it English style, where like I have full control over the yarn at all times. It is going by a little bit slower, especially because I'm still at the ribbing. I'm assuming when I am in the body, I will have to English style anyway, because it has like a lot of knit together, zip, blah blah blah. And for those ones, I am a English style knitter. Like, I can continental, but not if it's like many in a row. Like with socks that are vanilla socks, when I'm doing the gusset decreases and I'm going the toe decreases, I can continental that. But like with the teddy bear, for example, where it's like basically the whole time you're decreasing and increasing, it's just too difficult. But yeah, I'm excited to make this. I just cast it on today actually, and this is a gift knit for someone. I hope that they end up liking it. I do think the like faux cable look makes it look very like comfy cozy, and like that's fun. Love a comfy, love a cozy. Okay, well, so I actually have a yarn acquisition this week, which is not usual for me. But I was looking through Carousel, which is like a place where you buy and sell secondhand stuff. And I found someone who is destashing their wool yarns. And I got this. So it came in a skein and I wound it up in a cake. This is 100% wool yarn. Very fun. Like, I look at it's so cute. This is I think fingering weight. I know it's fingering weight because I compared it to my other yarns and it is fingering. It's very pretty. It's blue with some specks of stuff in it. Like, it has like white specks, I think, and like just tiny hints of like darker blues. And I do think it's quite a look. I think it's very pretty. I'm going to make socks with these, like I make with everything. I'm not sure if I should just make plain old regular socks with this, or I should make like a lace patterned one. I do think a lace pattern would be very fun. This yarn is very rough. So, like, I think it will hold up even though it's 100% wool and it has no yarn content. And since I'm keeping it for myself, that's completely fine by me. Like, I'm okay to keep some of this yarn around so I can keep on just mending it if the sock ends up wearing through as I wear it. But I really love my past socks, and it is a little bit sad that I only still have one knitted sock, one pair of knitted socks, even though it's like, I love it. I love to make it. So yeah, it's 50 grams each. I'm so happy that I got them. Anyway, yeah, that's my yarn acquisition for this week. I bought this it was like 100 pesos for the yarn, and then the shipping was 75 pesos. So 175 pesos. Let me convert that to dollar. So that's this is what I hate so much is when I put like pesos to dollars and I'm like, that looks wrong. And the reason why is because they made me go to like Mexican peso. And it's like, I'm not in Mexico. I'm in the fucking Philippines. You know everything about me, Google. So, yeah, it pisses me off. But anyway, so 175 Philippine pesos is 2.98 US dollars. For two for $3. This is pretty good. It's pretty solid. Wait, I'll show you the tag. So this is the tag that came with it, like with the skein. It says Nichibo. Wow. It's never gonna zoom ever. Whatever. It says 100%, and then the symbol for wool here. And then it says 50 grams, and then that's the lot number. Well, I think this is the lot number. And then this is the color. Yeah. Oh, shit. And it also has, like, if you translate it, like, a part of this apparently says, like, anti-moth. So that's comforting to know. And then the person also sent me, like, leftover yarn. Not leftover yarn. Like, another cake of yarn. It's just a little bit. I think it's less than 50 grams. But it's very pretty. And I like it. It's a very rustic wool yarn. And I use it for the eyes of the teddy bear that I made earlier. And, like, I don't know. I like it. I appreciate that she gave me free stuff. And I actually, like, because this is in Carousel, I asked her, like, is this your personal stock that you're destashing, or like, do you have a supplier or something? And she said, like, oh, I'm just doing this, like, this is my personal collection, and then sometimes I want to make room for new yarn, so I sell them. And I asked her, like, okay, well, the next time you stash, before you, like, set it out for the public, would you mind, like, telling me first, informing me immediately, because I'd like to buy more stuff if you have it, because wool yarn is very difficult to encounter here in the Philippines. And she said yes, and she was such a delight. Yeah, it reminds me of when I bought, like, mohair yarn from some guy who I think his grandmother died. Yeah, well, R.I.P. to that grandmother. And I hope if your grandmother has a beautiful, wonderful, interchangeable knitting needle set, that she lives a long, wonderful, and prosperous life, but also that you sell it to me once she doesn't use it anymore. Well, I'm, like, exhausted for some reason. But, okay, this is the end of the episode. I have to speak about media recommendation. Okay, so this past 2 weeks, I have been at an Agatha Christie kick. Love it. I love Agatha Christie. I read what's it called? The Mysterious Mr. Quinn. Wonderful. It's like a collection of short stories where you are with Mr. Quinn, Mr. Harley Quinn, what a fun name, and Mr. Satterthwaite. And Mr. Satterthwaite is your perspective character, and it's just, he just goes around, and sometimes Mr. Quinn shows up, and then there's mysteries that they solve together. It's very fun, very sweet read, okay? I enjoyed it tremendously. After you finish that, like, there's only just a few more Mr. Quinn books, or, like, Mr. Quinn short stories. There's no, like, full novel about it. And I did read the one that's, like, canonically, like, the last time we see them, Mr. Satterthwaite and Mr. Quinn, and it's called the Harley Quinn tea set or something. It was wonderful. I loved it. And I love the whole thing. And I don't want to spoil it, but, like, I think it's such a charming collection of stories. And the characters are endearing to me, even though Mr. Satterthwaite is the most annoying man alive. He's old and he's queening out, so that's completely fine. I don't mind at all. Yeah, love that book. I read Murder at the Orient Express too. Oh my god, lovely. I love it. And, like, it has such like, it is the 1920s and I'm British sentiment. I mean, obviously, because it was written, I think around that time, maybe a little bit later, by Agatha Christie, a British woman. But it's like hilarious sometimes the way they do it. Like sometimes it's like awful. Like in the Harlequin teas that they mention about how like, oh yeah, these like British folks, they went to war or whatever, and then they just moved to Kenya and they just lived there and the kids grew up there. And it's like, it's such a jarring, shocking thing to see, like talking about like colonization in that way. Like very, very like, it's just part of life, like as the colonizer. That one did shock me. But otherwise, this like Britishisms is like hilarious. Like, for example, they hate Americans so much. And I think it's so funny. And I also do enjoy, like there's a point in Murder at the Orient Express, which is, like, one of her most famous works. So if you've read Agatha Christie, you've probably read that one. And I think there's a movie about it also. But at some point, there's, like, an Italian guy in the train. And someone was like, oh, I think that Italian guy killed the guy who's dead because the guy was killed with a knife. And, like, Italians love knives. They love knives. And Fora just goes like, you know what? Italians do love knives. But this crime, it doesn't feel like a Latin crime. It feels Anglo-Saxon. And it is pretty funny. Like, I will admit, I did burst out laughing after hearing that. Yeah. That's it for this episode of what I talk about when I talk about knitting. I feel like I didn't really talk about knitting that much. I'm, like, tired. And that's why life is this way. But, yeah, join me for next episode. I'm so happy that I made it to 3 because I feel like 1 is like I'm trying something out, 2 is like but 3 is a pattern, and now I am a little bit more confident that I can keep this going. And what a wonderful thing. I hope I can. Okay, that's it. Bye.